by the fruit that we bear.
That's it.
Okay? So somehow, some way, some shape, some form, some fashion, we are made known. It is made known and made manifest that we belong to the Lord. Not because I say I belong to the Lord, but by my actions and my demonstrations and by the words that I allow come out of my mouth, I make it manifest and I demonstrate that I am among the new covenant priesthood.
All right. Thank you, Holy Ghost.
Okay. And I have been granted face-to-face access to God through Jesus Christ, through that who was that great and final high priest. There's no longer anything standing between God and us. Now, I gave you this handout. I gave you this handout to kind of let you know. In Exodus, as you see at the top of the handout, and if anybody wants another copy, I'll be glad to give you one. I'll be glad to give you one by way of email or whatever. Exodus chapter 28 talked about how the priest was supposed to, the Old Testament priest was supposed to wear, what they were supposed to wear. It was very ornamental, very ornamental. Okay, and the first thing that they wore was a turban on their head made of linen, and the turban, what at the bottom part of the turban had this gold band wrapped around their head with the words "Holy to the Lord" engraved on the gold plate, and it symbolized the bearing of the people's guilt on the high priest's head. Okay. Now what you understand is that this was the time where God ordered there be a go-between. There'll be a go-between. The priest carried the burden of the people to the temple and made the sacrifice on behalf of the people to give atonement on behalf of the people. Understand? Okay. Now, the shoulder pieces. Understand, I said turban, gold band. Now the shoulder pieces. On the shoulder pieces, there were 2 onyx stones on the shoulders, and these 2 onyx stones that were set in gold, that were engraved the 12 sons of Israel for their remembrance, because they were to remember the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. They were to have them in their remembrance at all times. The next thing was the Urim and the Thummim. The Urim and the Thummim held within the breastpiece next to the high priest's heart, symbolizing the bearing of the people's judgment before the Lord. They were probably used to making decisions on particular matters. So they had to have the people's interests at heart. So they had to have the Urim and the Thummim close to their heart to symbolize the fact that they bore other people's burdens. Oh my God. Okay. The sash. See, one thing about the sash was actually wider than it is on this illustration. The sash went from the waist to the bottom of the heart. So it was very, very wide. It was much wider than this. All right. Okay. And the sash was embroidered with needlework. Now the ephod was a linen garment. They had the linen garment. Those 3 colors were gold, blue, purple. No, 4 colors: gold, blue, purple, and scarlet were weaved together to make the ephod. Okay, and it was worn. It had a woven waistband. Now the breastplate of judgment. That's that thing with them 12 stones on there. 3, 3, 3, and 3. Okay, the breastplate of judgment was a square of fabric made of linen, gold, blue, purple, and scarlet yarns, and doubled over. The piece was held in place with cords of gold attached to gold rings. Set in the breastplate were 4 rows of 3 stones, and each one engraved with a single name of one of the 12 tribes. So Issachar had a space there. Reuben had a space there. Dan had a space there. Judah had a space there. Benjamin had a space there. The name of the 12 tribes, each of the 12 tribes of Israel had a space there. It had a space right there as one of them jewels that was in the soul. In all actuality, this stuff was worth a lot of money. Oh my God. And then there were each of the 12 stones, each one engraved with one of the names of the 12 tribes. There was a sardius stone, one was topaz, one was carbuncle, one was an emerald, one was a sapphire, one was a diamond, one was a jacinth, one was agate, one was amethyst, one was beryl, one was onyx, and one was jasper. And the high priest would carry the names of the tribes of Israel on his heart into the holy place in remembrance before the Lord. Now, the undergarments made from linen covered the naked flesh from the hips to the thighs, so that the high priest does not bear guilt in the holy place and die. One thing about the priest is I understand they had to tie a rope around their ankle, and the bell was attached to the rope, and if the priest died, fell for some sin